Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Thursday, June 22nd, 2023. This is live stream 936. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. We are certainly not engaging in rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. No, we're just hanging out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And usually we will take a first look at a new game, or at least a game that's new to me. Every once in a while, I'll do a live review. But tonight, we're going to dive on into the highly anticipated Pendragon Starter Set from my friends over at Chaosium Inc. That's right, this is the introduction to 5th edition Pendragon. This is arriving in stores later this month, and we are going to take a peek at it tonight. So I should mention, if you are tuning in live to catch the unboxing and first look, please keep in mind we tackled the tabletop gaming news first. So if you are watching live, kick back, relax, put your feet up. Hopefully you're a subscriber to the channel, because then you can do something to kind of occupy your time a little bit while you're waiting for that unboxing. But if you are watching this 30 minutes or more after the show is ended, there will be timestamps. So if you're impatient, you just got to get to that unboxing. You'll be able to do so by clicking on the timestamps in the show notes, or depending on what device you happen to be watching this on, it might be right there in the timeline of the video itself. But of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the Gaming Gang YouTube channel. Lastly, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you happen to be a subscriber for at least 48 hours, you can take part in chat. So if you got a question, a comment, maybe you just want to say howdy. Maybe you want to get a closer look at something inside the Pendragon Starter Set. By all means, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight was Mark Dandy in chat. Stray Kismet, Kathy Evans, Shaz, as well as two of our chat moderators are with us, Flaming Huron and the Madman. So chat is off and running. So the Madman said he's stuck working. Well, he's got the show on, but he's stopping by to say hello. Good to see you. James Eck and Disfod92 are chiming in as well. So welcome to you both. So let's jump on into the news, because I've got a pretty nice eclectic mix tonight. Arriving next month from Gray Fox Games is The Bazaars of Ubar. Here's the latest. The Bazaars of Ubar is a fantastical engine building game that takes players to the mythical marketplaces of You guessed it, Ubar, the Atlantis of the Sands. Draft trade tiles from a common area, paying for them with time in a marketplace where the costs shift like the sands from game to game. Make clever use of trade winds to activate your drafted tiles again and again. Manage the space on your ship to carry only the most precious cargo as you make your way to floating bazaars to sell your goods. Watch for fluctuating values in the markets to make sure your goods bring in the most gold and ensure your victory as the shrewdest trader in the bazaars of Ubar. During setup, trade tiles are laid out in a grid in the center of the table. On a player's turn, they take a trade tile from the center area and paying a time cost for it. The time cost is spent by moving their ship along the path toward the next bazaar. After taking a trade tile, a player adds it to their tableau adjacent to previously taken tiles, activating the new taken tile and previously taken tiles in their tableau according to the direction of the trade winds on their tile. Trade tiles allow players to earn new goods from the supply or trade goods they already have for more desirable goods. When a player's ship reaches a bazaar, they may sell any number of the goods they have in their ship to marketplaces with fluctuating values that vary from game to game. When all players have reached a bazaar, the trade tiles in the center are cleared and a new grid of trade tiles created. When all players have reached the third bazaar, the bazaar of the bazaar, there's a reference I'm curious who might get out there. The game ends, and the player with the most gold from selling their goods wins. And I should point out that third bazaar is not known as the bazaar of the bazaar. I threw that out there because I'm kind of bizarre. The Bazaars of Ubar is for 2 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, plays in 45 to 75 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $29.99 when it arrives in July. I'm intrigued. Yes, I'm a bit intrigued by this because I think, now I don't know for certain because these images I'm sharing are sort of all of them that are available, or nearly all that are available. I'm not sharing something that's, radically different than what you're seeing. But I think your goods are actually like polyomino shapes. So you have to fit them into the hold of your ship. So kind of curious. So Kevin R. Smith is with us, as is Sly Blue Demon. Kevin says, I'll bite. Wasn't Bazaar the Bazaar a column in Dragon that showcased magic items? You know what? It may have been, but I'm actually referencing the Fritz Leiber story, the Bazaar, with Fofford and the Gray Mouser. It's actually it's one of the funny kind of stories. It's got quite a bit of humor to it. So once again, I am a huge fan of the works of Fritz Leiber. So, just floating one of those out. But you know what? I think Kevin's right. I think the column in Dragon magazine with the magic items was Bazaar of the Bazaar. So there you have it. Look at that. So Kevin chimed in with a different reference that works. Kevin says he's never had a chance to read Leiber, unfortunately. Well, I point out, I've done this more than once, that if you are a fan of audiobooks, the Audible editions of his 7 books featuring Boffer and the Gray Mouser is excellent. The, I don't want to say like actor. Well, I guess they are voice actors. It is a single narrator, though. It is not like a full cast production or anything like that, but he does a really, really good job, and very, very well done. I tend to listen to them once a year, re-listen to it once a year, and I got to be honest, I think you're probably looking at these audiobooks are about 20 years old now. Moving right along. Currently available as a Target exclusive, or as my friends and I used to refer to it back in the day, Target. From Exploding Kittens is Anarchy Pancakes. Here's what I know. Prepare to laugh loud and get messy as you flip, match, and slap your way to victory. Start by dealing out the pancake cards with misfit toppings. Then match your toppings to other players' toppings to get rid of your pancakes. Everyone plays at once. No turns, just chaos. But hurry, the goal is to get rid of all your pancakes as fast as possible. Once you do, scream, "Anarchy Pancakes!" to win the round. You'll get 1 slab of butter for every round won. And the first player with 2 slabs wins. It's easy to learn and fast to play. Perfect for game nights in, getting the party started, or taking on the go. This game is a collaboration brought to you by Exploding Kittens and Spot It. Anarchy Pancakes is for 2 to 6 players, ages 7 and up, plays in around 5 minutes, and it carries an MSRP of $13.99. It is not slated to be available in other retailers until next year. So if you want Anarchy Pancakes, you've got 2 avenues. You can order it from the Exploding Kittens website, or you can purchase it at Target. So there you have it. I have to laugh. There's like a tooth. One of the images is a tooth with a smile that has a single tooth. It's like, what? I like Exploding Kittens, though. I should have grabbed it. No, it's not within reach. I have the Exploding Kittens from the special Kickstarter edition. I think, if I remember right, it's the not safe for, maybe it's not the not safe for work. Regardless, it's got a little like magnet clasp box, and when you open it up, it goes meow, meow, meow. Coco B is with us, pointing out the items being sold to Fofford were junk. That is incorrect. The items being sold to the Gray Mouser. Fofford's the one who actually saves him. But yes, it is actually a very entertaining story. It's right up there with, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the title of the story, where Fofford and the Gray Mouser have a falling out, and the Gray Mouser becomes this acolyte of this really minor deity, and the Gray Mouser kind of becomes a hired muscle, like a thug, and really interesting. That one's got quite a lot of humor to it as well. Flaming Heron says, I don't know, I like the non-exploding variety of kittens. Sly Blue Demon says, my grandma says Target like that. Target. That used to be kind of like the wise ass way of saying Target. But you don't have to be like a grandparent to use that. So Coco B says, when Target tried to expand to Canada, we called it Target as well. All righty. Let's talk about some role-playing game news, because now in print from Exalted Funeral is the Dungeon Crawl.
Exploding Kittens presents.
Whoa. Hey, wait a second. I forgot. I've got like a 30-second little video for Anarchy Pancakes. Oh, see? I'm talking about Fritz Leiber, Fofford, Gray Mouser, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I got like a little video. So let's take a peek.
Exploding Kittens presents Anarchy Pancakes. This is a fast-paced card game where chaos reigns. And matching is the key to winning. You get a bunch of pancakes. The pancakes have a bunch of toppings. You stack the pancakes with the matching toppings. Oh, and did we mention that the other players are doing all of this at the exact same time? Because in this game, there are no turns. There is only
Anarchy pancake!
Slab of butter for you, sir.
forget pandemonium. This is Pancake-demonium. Rock your game night. Buy yours today.
All right, so I jumped up to get my Exploding Kittens, and I have not played this in a while. And unfortunately, the battery's dead. Dun, dun, dun. I'll have to take a look. I would not be shocked if I kind of open this up and there's like a little watch battery or something that I can replace that's in it. But it was funny. You would open up and it'd just go, meow. All righty. Moving right along. Now in print, as I began to point out. Now in print from Exalted Funeral is the Dungeon Crawl Classics focus zine Big Sword, Graves and Groves. And here's the skinny on the release. Fleeing prey, the sound of branches rustling above you, the vicious trampling of twigs below. Your lungs feel like they're on fire, but you keep on running. The dense forest blocks what little moonlight there is, and you can't tell where you're going. But that doesn't matter. None of it matters. All that matters is that you get away. You've left them behind to deal with that thing, that horrible, murderous, bloodthirsty monster. No one can save them now. What is Graves and Groves? Containing 46 pages dense with content, Graves and Groves is the first volume of a larger series of Dungeon Crawl Classics compatible zines, Big Sword. This volume specifically focuses on the undead and nature. It features a detailed and comprehensive vampire generator fit for a lich, a full write-up on the curse of vampirism. Vampirism, really. An article on what happens to a player character stuck between the worlds of life and death. A new patron, the Prime Vampire, the progenitor of all other vampires, a creature of unimaginable pain and power, older than time itself. There's the Tree Folk class, an ancient race that wields both might and magic, fueled by their attunement to nature. And an old favorite returns, the Ranger class, as remixed by the Big Sword authors. And finally, Vow of the Vampire, a hex crawl that ties all of it together, complete with its own survival mechanics, encounters, friends, and foes. All of it wrapped in a tense, ticking clock style adventure. Plus, there's also rules for handling downtime between adventures, as well as an article detailing their thoughts on the strange intricacies of Dungeon Crawl Classics party composition. This 46-page saddle-stitch zine is available at Exalted Funeral for $15. Do not believe it is available in a PDF. And if you happen to order the zine, I don't believe you get a PDF either. I think it's just the zine. But this could be kind of interesting. I always like the zines that are like just packed with a bunch of nuggets that you can draw from, maybe to carry into your own adventures and campaigns. Russell Higgins is here with us in chat. Good to see you, Russell. Next month, we're going to see the release of Fallout, the role-playing game, Winter of Atom. Here's the scoop from Modiphius Entertainment. Immerse yourself in a whiteout nuclear winter in the first quest book for Fallout, the role-playing game. In the ruins of old Boston, the Commonwealth settles in for a long, deadly winter as its hungry communities do their best to find food and survive the cold. A new sect of the Church of the Children of Adam arrives. Their flock grows as they spread their worship of nuclear division and radiation across the region. Led by an enigmatic prophet calling himself the last son of Atom, the church's army plans to ignite an all out winter war with the settlements that dare reject their atomic god. A group of ragtag survivors must do whatever it takes to protect their communities and keep the Commonwealth from becoming ground zero again. Winter of Adam's themes include exploring frozen wastelands, harsh winter survival, building relationships with communities, explosive action against terrifying monsters, high stakes warfare against a relentless foe, and weird and unexplainable supernatural horrors. Within the 248-page Winter of Adam quest book, you will find a fearsome sect of the children of Adam, led by the last son of Adam. An action-packed, open-ended, and non-linear sandbox quest line that takes characters from levels 1 through 21. Meet brand new groups of survivors from beatniks and circus big tops to traveling casinos and religious weaponsmiths. Create characters with new origin options. Generation 3 synths, protectrons, that's pretty wild, and Children of Adam. Enhance your game with new rules for surviving the harsh winter and gaining reputation with settlements. Learn how to design balanced combat encounters and find new rules for surviving defeat, quickly adjusting an encounter's difficulty, and creating minion NPCs. This book requires the core rules found in the Fallout the Role-Playing Game core rulebook, but could be played using the rules and pre-gen characters found in the Fallout the Role-Playing Game starter set. I don't know, that doesn't seem to make sense. It says you need to have the core rulebook to play this, but you could use the starter set. So, which is it? I'm thinking you probably want to have the starters, I should say the core rule book. This 248-page hardcover can be pre-ordered right now from the Modiphius US store, which is actually modiphius.us, not .net. But you can get it for $45.60, which will get you the PDF immediately. Yes. I gotta say, at the moment, the PDF is not available separately. I would assume in the next few days, it's probably gonna pop up on Drive-Thru RPG. But the hardcover is supposed to arrive next month. So you're not gonna have a long wait in order to get your hands on it. So Russell asks, what level was that Dungeon Crawl Classic zine? They don't say. They don't mention any level. So I'm gonna, well, it's supposed to be like it's kind of like a hex crawl. So I would take a stab. If they're not mentioning a level, then it's for low level characters. Flaming Heron says, I assume it means you can get by with just the starter set, but you probably want the core book. Yeah, that's how I kind of read it. Although it's kind of silly for them to say, well, it requires the core rules found in the core rule book. That's what throws you off. It says this requires that, but you can use the starter set. So it's like, okay, so it really doesn't require the core rule book then, does it? My final news piece, now available in PDF, is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Uber's-like Adventures Volume 3. Here's the latest from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. The city of Ubersreich has seen more than its fair share of upheaval and conflict in recent years. From the secretive skullduggery of the corridors of power that led to the dispossession of the once powerful von Jungfraud family to the dramatic events and unprecedented upheaval of the turmoil, which is actually the enemy within campaign. Ambitious noble families and powerful guild masters vie for influence and control in the wake of direct imperial control, and characters familiar with Ubersreich or who already have a reputation may quickly find themselves caught up in the intricate plans and backhanded deceptions of those seeking power. This includes 4 adventures: an eye for an eye, a dilapidated hunting lodge, a missing noble's son, and an ominous painting spelled disaster in the forests north of Ubersreich. Mutiny and the Beast, political ambition and marauding orcs and goblins in the sleepy farming village of Geisbach. The horror of Hugeldal, a deceitful physician, a traveling carnival, and a lingering sickness beleaguered the mining town of Hugeldal. And finally, we've got Mirror of Desire. The characters find themselves embroiled in the love affairs of the young nobility of Ubersreich, with disastrous consequences. The 128-page Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Ubersreich Adventures 3 can be pre-ordered with an expected delivery in the first quarter of 2024 for an MSRP of $39.99, which does include the PDF, which you would get when you place your order, or pre-order, I guess we'll say. Or you can just grab the PDF alone right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. So one thing I have encountered with this that I really like is that the adventure that kind of kicks off the starter set for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which is a fantastic starter set. And it's actually got one of the more interesting like adventures to draw the characters together that I've seen in a lot of role-playing games. One of the characters, one of the NPCs that the players have to deal with makes another appearance in one of these adventures. I thought that was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. So I guess there's quite a few kind of like callbacks and tie-ins to the adventures in the starter set. So I really, really do like that. All right. So Flaming Heron's asking if for the Fallout Winter of the, no, it's just Winter of Adam. If it's the first time they've announced the book of adventures before any of the individual adventures have released. Oh, or maybe Flaming Heron's talking about Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I don't think they're releasing the adventures separately anymore. I think there was a change in direction as far as that goes. I think they've now decided that they're going to release them as collected books, not release those separately. So keep that in mind. Something I was going to mention was with the Fallout, the role-playing game, it's kind of like a campaign book. I understand that it's been designed so that it does resemble the game. Well, I was going to say computer game, but it's not. It's on consoles too. So the video game. So that you've got almost like adventure hubs, and then you've got like side quests and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of interesting that they are aiming for it to have a very video game feel to it as far as how the adventures tie together. So I thought, oh, okay. I don't know if we'll get to take a peek at it. I'm not sure. We just saw a huge collection of Dune hardcovers arrive. If you missed last night's show, I spent about 10 minutes showing all the gaming goodness that arrived over a 24-hour period. And there were 4 of the Dune Adventures in the Imperium releases that came from Modiphius Entertainment. So we're going to start dipping our toes in those beginning next week. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive Through RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And a big thank you to all of you out there who utilize the banner ads and or visit paypal.me. It is much, much appreciated. Also, right now, this month and into early next month, there is a game sale going on. It is over at thegaminggang.com. You can go into any of the articles, any of the news pieces, and you will see a little box ad for it. I think I'll probably actually put a link in the show notes for this sale as well. And that goes a long way to supporting the channel and the website. So if you are, following the Gaming Gang, if you watch the show from time to time, you may know that I had to make some investments into the computer that streams the show. And that kind of came out of the convention coverage funds. So thankfully, right now, I think I have sold about 60 items, but there are still like 140 or so left, maybe even a little more than that. So Flaming Heron says, nice to have so many of you here. Must be a lot of interest in the Pendragon Starter Set. I would think they would be. Flaming Heron also points out that he's happy that Modiphius Entertainment is really supporting Dune. They do a pretty good job of supporting most of their role-playing games. John Carter of Mars really didn't go anywhere. So that really didn't get any releases after, its core products came out. But for the most part, everything has been pretty nice. And I should also point out, don't forget, at the end of this month, Modiphius Entertainment will lose the license to sell any of their Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed of 2D20 role-playing titles. So you can get an awesome deal over at Drive Through RPG. You can get everything, to my knowledge, that was published for the Conan role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment in PDF for $30. Something like $440 worth of PDFs. And even if you don't like the core system, if you have any interest as a game master running role-playing games set in Robert E. Howard's world, you owe it to yourself to pick this up, because top-notch quality. I mean, great artwork. I mean, it's really, really too bad that Modiphius Entertainment is losing the license, because they invested a hell of a lot of time and energy into that role-playing game. So don't miss out. Flaming Heron said, yeah, get on board with Conan. That bundle is insanely good. Yeah, you're not going to find anything like that. Alan Westenbarger, hopefully I pronounced that closely to correctly, is with us. pointing out that, yes, they are guilty as charged because they want to check out that Pendragon Starter Set tonight. So I'm not going to leave people dangling around for too long. I just want to say, yeah, a shame that that Titan submersible. Yeah, we talked for a couple of minutes about that last night. I think we all saw that coming. So, and I guess it turns out that they were dead Sunday within 2 hours of them going below the surface. So that is too bad. That is too bad. Everybody was hoping for a happy ending, but I think we all knew that was not going to be the case. And once again, the Titanic drives home the hubris of man, thinking that they can conquer nature. Not really. So, Tessie Trekkie says that entire story really imploded across my feed. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Anthony Good and Nero's Fiddle are with us. So, Nero's Fiddle says Conan 2D20 is simply one of the best games they have ever run. And Keldon is hanging with the gang tonight. All right, so we are going to be diving on into the Pendragon Starter Set in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Well, if you're feeling kinda hungry and thirsty, and you'd like to have a tasty treat, hey man! Swing on down to the snack bar for wonderful things to eat. Popcorn, candy and nuts, hot dogs, and ice cream.
May I offer a vociferous recommendation for the cuisine and delicacies tendered patrons of the snack bar?
And here's a real thirst-quenching treat. Dr. Pepper is a friendly pepper-upper, and it never, never, never lets you down. Remember, it's a friendly pepper-upper. Dr. Pepper never, never lets you down.
Frosty, man, Frosty.
The jackpot question, what's the finest coffee?
Well, you told me to say Wilkins.
Another quiz show bites the dust.
Who are you? Victor Vicious. Gang, steal new Super Sugar Crisp, the sugary cereal with vitamins for superpower.
Help! Sugar Bear!
Hold on, Granny. I'm having new Super Sugar Crisp for superpower. That's my Super Sugar Crisp Vitamin Wallop.
I could kiss you.
Save the kiss, Granny. I'll take Post Super Sugar Crisp. It's super delicious.
And here's a big surprise for all you kids. And it's free. This truck set with 5 snap-on parts. Emergency ladder, trailer, towing unit, chemical tanks, and make a dump truck. All parts snap-on. You don't need glue. All yours for free with 2 box tops Post Sugar Crisp. Get other free toys with other Post cereals.
And now, on with the show.
Sugar Bear always cracked me up because the voice always sounds like if Bing Crosby had smoked a big fatty. I know there's some people out there like, Bing who? Who? Sidney Crosby, the guy who plays for the Penguins? Huh? Keldon says that sugar bear is cool as rhymes with duck. All right. Just about 92 says Barry White. Sarah D is hanging out with us. She's probably been lurking around for a bit. All right. So James X says, now that is a visual. Yes. All righty. So tonight we are going to dive on in and take a first look at the Pendragon Starter Set from Chaosium Inc. This is an introduction to I believe it's the 5th edition of Pendragon. It is written by Greg Stafford with Mark Larkin, with artwork provided by Mark Smiley. This box set is going to be available on June 29th. It's going to carry an MSRP of $29. Excuse me. Wow. It's like, wow. It's going to carry an MSRP of $29.99. Okay, I got the 99 cents out that time. Swing on over to the other camera. What can I tell you? It's a live show. I don't have a mute button, a dump button. So here I have got the starter set. Let's get the shrink wrap off of here. So before I crack this open, let me point out that the fine folks over at Chaosium Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this starter set. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very important for you to know that. So Russell Higgins says, another bowl of Sugar Crisp over here for my man, Chef. Yeah, that's what it was. I was going through my Sugar Crisp withdrawal, or Super Sugar Crisp. I think that's what they were calling it. All right. Anyway, a couple other things. Should point out that we are not going to look at each and every page of the booklets that are in here, but I do want to give you a very good feel for what this starter set contains. There is also going to be a solitaire adventure, which I believe is kind of the story of the Sword and Stone. And there might be more adventures for a game master and players, because the Sword and Stone is solitaire. Chaosium likes to do these almost choose your own adventure sort of solo tales to introduce you to the rules systems. They've done that with RuneQuest. They've also done that with the Call of Cthulhu starter sets, and both of those are fantastic. All right, so I'll read a little bit of what's on the back here. Relive the glory of King Arthur's court. Pendragon is a role-playing game set in King Arthur's Britain. You take on the role of knights and overcome mythical monsters, rival knights, and other wondrous challenges in search of glory. The Pendragon Starter Set presents a world of great adventure. This is the time of the Sword and the Stone, of the boy king and Merlin, and their struggles against those who would seize the crown for themselves, and of the flowering of chivalry. This is a time of desperate battles, dark portents, enchanted forests, pride, and self-indulgence. What kind of knight are you? Do you believe in chivalry, or do you think might always makes right? Are you willing to die for your honor? Will you fight to rid the world of injustice, or use clout and power to take advantage of those beneath you? Combat in Pendragon is bloody and intense, and every knight must show valor sufficient to face it and gain great glory for their prowess. The Pendragon Starter Set contains everything you need to begin questing and adventuring. It includes a selection of pre-generated characters and a short campaign offering multiple sessions of gameplay. Sweet! I'm really excited to take a peek at this. Now, we have talked about Greg Stafford in the past and RuneQuest, which is just a fantastic game setting, game world. And RuneQuest actually is the birthplace of really the basic role-playing system. So without RuneQuest, we wouldn't have Call of Cthulhu. So it looks like we've got a set of dice here. So we've got 6-sided dice and a 20-sided die. There we go. So that's cool. So we've got 6-siders and a blue 20-sided die. And as you notice, it kind of matches the color scheme of the game, which is blue and yellow. Okay, what's in the box? Book 1, The Adventure of the Sword and the Stone. See, an exciting solo quest, registered trademark. So, as I mentioned, Chaosium likes to do these solitaire adventures to teach you the rules. And we have the Fabled Realm, which is for players and game masters. Then we got the Sword Campaign, which is a 5-year campaign that is going to take place during the Boy King's reign. Nice. 4 appendices. Got 8 pre-generated characters. We've got some battle cards detailing encounters and opportunities for the player knights to face in battle. And then, of course, the dice we just took a peek at. And then on the back, we've got some info about RuneQuest. So Sly Blue Demon says, I usually don't grab starter sets, but might grab this one. Well, I'll tell you one thing about Chaosium starter sets. They tend to put so much into these starter sets that a lot of times when they release adventures and stuff, you don't really need the core rule books. Now, of course, we were talking about that Fallout adventure book and how it says, oh, it requires the core rule book, but you can use the starter set. A lot of times with Chaosium Adventures, you really just need the starter set. So just to point that out. And got to be honest, I don't think anybody really beats Chaosium when it comes to starter sets. There are other companies that put together equally fantastic starter sets, I got to say. So let's take a peek inside. So this is book 1, The Adventure of the Sword and the Stone. And this was written by Greg Stafford. So did I say David Larkin? I guess Mark Larkin. It's David Larkins. I grabbed some like sell sheet info that I wasn't too sure how solid the information was, because it was very difficult to find like the artists and stuff like that and authors, because this isn't out yet in PDF, right? It's usually how I pull that info is either from the actual content, which the box is sealed because I don't open up boxes until I do my first look. So sorry about that. I apologize to David Larkins. But I was talking about Greg Stafford. And like I said, Greg Stafford did this phenomenal work on RuneQuest and the world of Glorantha and invested over 40 years of his life into it. Yet he always felt that his ultimate achievement is actually Pendragon. And he had written the vast majority of this latest edition, this new edition, prior to him passing away. So it's important to note that Greg Stafford's mark is all over this game. And gotta say, he is probably one of the greatest role-playing game designers and creators ever. Kevin Smith says, the Call of Cthulhu starter set can definitely be used for adventures because it has character creation rules in it. We may see that in here too. All right, so here we've got a bit of a breakdown on how to play. So we're getting some rules information right off the bat. And for the most part, action resolution is a 20-sided die, if I remember correctly, unless things have changed tremendously since the first edition of Pendragon, which is what I had. So I also think it's very interesting that in the starter set, we're going to get a 5-year campaign, because one of the big points of Pendragon that's different than a lot of other role-playing games is this is generational. So you'll start off with a character, and by the end of an ongoing campaign, you'll probably have gone through a couple of generations. Die! Somebody's in your face. So shall we take a stab in the dark that maybe you're playing as young Arthur? Let's take a quick look. Well, there's Sir Ector's Manor. And here is our character sheet. So another thing that's really wild are your traits. So you actually have various different traits, and you'll have on a breakdown of 20 points. So here, as an example, we have chaste, lustful, forgiving, vengeful, merciful, cruel, modest, proud. And I see these are marked with, some of these are marked with asterisks and bolded. So these might be traits that are important to this character. And the cool thing is that, as an example, you might have forgiving and vengeful, and maybe you've got 14 in forgiving, and then you're going to have 6 in vengeful, because it's always going to end up totaling 20. So you'll have this character, and it kind of drives your role playing, which no other role playing game I've ever encountered has this. And I thought it was it blew my mind, to be honest, when I first picked it up back in the 80s when this originally came out. And it's very, very cool. Now, some people may not like that, because if you're playing in, like, say, for an example, you're kind of a 50-50, right? So maybe you're 10 chaste, 10 lustful, and there's an opportunity there where maybe you would be faced with possibly cheating on a spouse, what have you, and you don't want to, as the player. Well, you're going to have to roll against your traits. So I wonder what we're looking at here, as far as if you don't follow your traits, whatever you rolled. I would think, as opposed to forcing you into doing things that you really don't want to do, or that you really do want to do, but you've actually rolled poorly, there's got to be a way for you to, well, I shouldn't say got to be, because it may not be the case, but I would think there would be a way for you to go about doing that, but there's some sort of penalty you're going to pay later on. So, Tessie Trekkie says, I thought that trait rolls only come into it if they're very high. I got to be honest, it's been years and years. It's been decades, to be very honest. It's been decades since I've had an opportunity to check out Pendragon, and obviously enough, I wouldn't have my game books that I picked up back in the 80s, unfortunately, sorry to say. But as you can see, this is a pretty long and in-depth starter adventure. Very nice. And that's kind of the case, as I mentioned before, with all of these starter sets. They are packed with value. They really, really are. Okay, so that is our, oh, I'm sorry, it's the 6th edition of Pendragon. Wow. I had said 5th edition. It is the 6th edition. So Tessie Trekkie says they love both Pendragon and Paladin, So Paladin is fairly recent, and it is, if I remember correctly, isn't Paladin like the Crusades? If I remember correctly. So Anthony Good says, fantastic art. Yeah, pretty nice so far. So here's our rules. So it looks as if we've got about 70 pages, maybe. So another aspect that I recall of Pendragon, I don't know if it's carried over. Oh, there you go. Tessie Trek said Paladin is Charlemagne. Isn't there a third? Aren't there three kind of they were like Greg Stafford Pendragon games. One's Pendragon, one's Paladin. I thought there was another one that was the Crusades, but there you go. Yeah, Paladin Charlemagne. Very nice. So just jumping on in here. Another world, another time. Pendragon is a distinctive role-playing game. The rules are focused and fit into a simple system designed to promote a singular gaming experience. The setting may seem strange at first, but you only need to know the rules of knighthood, and you will be as knowledgeable as the heroes of old. So I was going to say, one aspect that I remember from Pendragon is there are various phases in the game. So it's more along the lines of phases of like the campaign. So rather than say just everything's open world and you just fly by the seat of your pants, say like in Dungeons and Dragons back in the day, this was different. This was different. There was more structure to like your downtime between adventures than you would find in just about any role-playing game. So Kevin Thorpe mentions that I'm thinking of Prince Valiant. Yeah, so Kevin Thorpe is with us. I don't think I said hello to Kevin. I apologize if I've missed anybody popping into chat that I have not said hello to. All right, so dice. Pendragon uses two types of dice, the common 6-sided and the well-known 20-sided ones. 6-sided dice determine damage and generate certain randomized outcomes. A 20-sided die determines success or failure for all statistic tests. Both can provide results on random tables. Ideally, you should roll all the necessary dice at the same time when indicated. Also helps speed things up in combat. So this, I know I've said in the past that Pendragon's not exactly the kind of like the role-playing system that Chaosium uses, which is percentile based, the basic role-playing. It kind of pretty much is. It's just not percentile. It's 20-sided die. So rather than having say a 70% as an attribute, it's a 14. So we've got our trait roll results. We have our different traits. Okay, so that's what we were talking before, was traits and passions. So it says the system of traits and passions helps answer one of the game's central questions. What kind of knight are you? King Arthur's epic is a story of personality and action on a grand scale. Everyone whose name is remembered is known for both their deeds and emotions. No great character is merely a two-dimensional cutout whose history consists solely of high scores and lists of events. Everyone feels strongly about something. Traits and passions are the statistics that depict personality in Pendragon. Together, these two sets of statistics provide guidelines for playing knights who may be quite different from the player and also sharply distinguish characters from each other through their behaviors. Think of Kay. Kay can be, a wonderful brother for Arthur, or stepbrother, or adopted brother, but he can be a real pain in the ass to other knights. Traits and passions may qualify, inform, and sometimes dictate character behavior. They may also make the player's role-playing task easier by providing guidelines for how the player knight acts, has acted, and is likely to continue to act. Each has a numerical value, and the player rolls against these values to determine behavior. Traits represent a character's personality. They define a character's feelings and govern behavior. A character may claim to believe whatever they wish, but claims do not affect behavior. For instance, anyone can say, "I am the bravest knight alive." But if they run away from a confrontation, then they reveal their true quality, their cowardly trait. All the characters have 13 opposed trait pairs. The sum of each trait must always equal 20, as I had mentioned before. When one trait increases, the opposite decreases by the same amount in an endless tug of war between virtue and vice, as defined by the people of Arthur's Britain. So Tessie Trekkie says, in general, starts before Arthur. Knights do one adventure a year, then do a winter phase, including a roll on, did I get my wife pregnant? Did she have a baby? Or the baby die during birth table? So Tessie Trekkie's pointing out, as I had mentioned, that there are some like phases for downtime that you wouldn't normally have in a vast majority of role-playing games. Okay, so 0 to 4 is unsung. 5 to 15 is normal. 16 to 20 is famous, and 20 or higher on a trait is exalted. So an unsung trait has a value of, okay, so right. So it means it doesn't define their personality. Normal is neither dominant or subordinate. A famous trait is something that they're obviously famous for. So it says an exalted trait has a value of 20 plus a critical bonus. For example, 20 plus 2. Its opposite is 0. Such a trait completely defines a character's personality. The character is known everywhere for it. A character with an exalted trait can never act otherwise. So just giving you an idea here. So then we have passions, which passions have levels as well. But I don't think the passions have opposing traits or opposing titles to them. And again, maybe it is. Okay, so it says, like traits, passions have 4 levels: unsung, normal, famous, exalted. Unbridled passions. So we have various different passions here. So we have fealty, loyalty, love of a person, love of family, adoration, hospitality, glory. Oh no, I'm sorry, those are afflictions. Station. That's cool. And then we got skills. Now, Flaming Red says, I got a passion for passion. As far as the skills go, we don't have like 100 skills. I would think, if I remember correctly, I think there were like 30-ish. Now that may have changed. So as an example, some of the skills we've got: battle, compose. Oh, you're such a poet. Flirting, gaming, religion, literacy. So it looks like about 20 there. We also have honor and glory, which is actually very important. Combat. So one aspect of Greg Stafford designs tends to be that combat is very deadly. You're not walking around with 50 hit points, and even the greatest of knights can be killed in combat. So we've got some combat maneuvers: disarm, dodge, evade, reckless attack, brawling. Then we've got our arms and armor. I don't know about you out there in chat, but I got to say, I am impressed. And I should also point out the paper stock is very nice. I'll be very honest and say the paper stock in these just soft cover saddle stitch books is actually nicer than what we see in the Wizards of the Coast D&D releases. It's thicker. So we got horses, the cat with a crown, injury and health, just wealth. Yep, wealth and treasure. And then the winter phase, as Tessie Trekkie was pointing out. So you're going to make experience rolls. So you're going to see if your skills have changed. I think you also roll to see if your passions and traits have changed as well. Game Master's Hobby is with us. Says that this set looks great. Kathy Evans says this has caught my attention. All right, next we've got the Sword Campaign, which I understand from what we saw on the back of the box, this is a 5-year campaign. So it's an introductory campaign. Now, one thing with previous editions of Pendragon that has been just phenomenal is the Pendragon campaign, which has run from the rule of Uther Pendragon through the battle where Arthur falls to his son Modred. And I'm kind of curious if we'll see that released as a single product, or if we may see that come out in kind of like broken down. Because I got to be honest, it's been so long since I saw the Pendragon campaign, but I think it was around 300 pages, maybe more. So it would not be a shock to have Chaosium maybe break it down into, 3 books or even a slipcase set or something like that, as opposed to just release it as one supplement. So we get an introduction to the campaign. So should point out, if you are a player hoping your game master is going to pick up this starter set, we're going to probably see some spoilers here, even though I know nothing of this adventure as I flip through it. And I'm not going to stop on every page, but there could be some spoilers. So if you are a player, I would definitely recommend tune out now. Says the Sword Campaign is a collection of scenarios that plunge the player knights into the tumultuous early years of King Arthur's reign. From the drawing of the sword and the stone to the boy king's desperate fight against the northern kings who would steal his crown, to the gifting of the most legendary sword in the world. Each scenario is intended to comprise the main adventure for that game year. So I guess there's 5. As Game Master, other events emerge through play. As Game Master, it is your job to interweave these events into the main narrative. Look for opportunities to make Game Master characters significant in the lives of the player knights. Have fun, and do not shy away from going off script from time to time. YPWV. Your Pendragon will vary is key to this game. It gives explicit permission for the designer to change elements of the system and setting as a game master wishes. But it also signals an understanding that every game is going to be different. The actions of the players and game masters' preferences change characters, events, and interpretations of what and why. Each game is also going to vary due to its mix of influences. So, a discussion of running the scenarios. And of course, this is for game masters' eyes only. Fleming Huron says nothing set in stone, unlike Excalibur. Actually, it's so here's the thing. I'm trying to remember because it's been so long. So Arthur draws the sword in the stone, but then he gets Excalibur from the Lady in the Lake. Now, isn't it normally the story that the sword that he draws from the stone is Excalibur? But that's really not the case. Maybe I'm misremembering. So we have the sword tournament. So the year 510. So this would be, I'm taking a guess, when Arthur draws the sword. That, I believe, is the case. It says, the sword, the sword. Now everyone can hear it and sees the squire pointing frantically back towards St. Paul's. I have to point out, when I first read Le Mort d'Arthur, which I did, of course, not in French, I read the English translation. It took me a long time to not dislike Lancelot. I always feel I had always felt sorry for Arthur. And then, of course, if you want to enjoy the legend of King Arthur, you also have T.H. White's excellent The Once and Future King, which is really, really well done. But it was kind of funny. It wasn't until years later and as I got older that I kind of could see the point of view of kind of all the characters. So Kevin says the Mort d'Arthur combined the two by having him draw Excalibur from the stone, but later have it returned to him after he lost it by the Lady of the Lake. So Kevin also points out it's two different stories. The sword in the stone is Anglo-Saxon. The Lady of the Lake is French. Actually, there is a lot of Arthurian legend that came far, far later. So, and we're actually French. So that is one of the cases there. It's very possible that there was a warlord similar to Arthur. He was probably Arturius. A name along those lines would have been. So, yeah, there's still all that debate about, did Arthur really exist? So here we've got, it looks like we've got about 48 pages of adventure here. Well, about 45 probably. So Kevin says, yeah, there are a lot of takes on it. So we've got some appendices. Do we have these these appendices must be at the end of the various books, or there are handouts here. So this is Appendix E, Mercenary and Household Knights. I'm impressed. I am very interested here. We still got some more stuff here in the box. I know we got our pre-gens. Now, I'm sure people will take some exception because there are rules for female knights. I don't have any issue with it. You're there to enjoy a game. You don't need to. It's like, when I'm running Call of Cthulhu, it's not necessarily completely historical for the 1920s. So Appendix A is tournaments. What about the joust? I'm sure Kevin probably knows more about this than I do, but if I recall correctly, during the period of King Arthur, supposedly, like the 6th century, they did not joust. So that was something that was far, far later. So Appendix B is battle. I wonder if these are supposed to be like handouts for the players. Although the second book with the rules is for players and for game masters. Although maybe you just kind of keep these at the table to refer to if you need to. We have Appendix C, which is overland movement. Note on maps. Maps are exceedingly rare. Those that do exist are poor copies of Roman tabulae, which show major roads and river crossings, but with nowhere near the accuracy of modern maps. Well, that's obvious. So, Kevin says, not sure about that, but I would guess not. I'm not sure they invented lances by the 6th century. I don't think they jousted during tournaments. So I'm trying to remember, wasn't it like the 11th or 12th century that tournaments were becoming like a real big deal, and that the King of England had to finally, or maybe it was the King of France, finally had to ban them because so many knights were being permanently crippled and killed in the tournaments. So there's overland movement. Now we got Appendix D. Visiting a foreign court. Dining at the Lord's or Lady's table. And accommodations. So these are our appendices, which we also saw Appendix E. Okay, so then we've got, these are the cards. So these are kind of encounter cards. So looks like we've got NPC stat blocks on here. So Saxon warriors, Pictish knifemen, javelineers, Irish kerns. And then we get some information about them. So it looks like stat block. And then a bit of information, a bit of text. Knights of Cornwall. I always like the legend of Tristan and Isolde, or Isolde. I always liked that legend. That is also part of De Morte Tour. All right, so we got those capture the banner. Here we got our pre-gens, and I think we're probably going to have a map, maybe, and that'll be it. Maybe no map. Maybe it's just the pre-gens. So we have seen these this style of pre-gen from actually a few companies. We've seen Chaosium do this, and we also have seen Cubicle 7 Entertainment do this. So Flaming Heron says jousting and lances had been a thing since the late Roman times. I'm sure it didn't become a thing till a lot later. Anthony Good says, okay, this is definitely going on the wish list. So here we've got history and events. Born 489, squired 503, knighted 508, landed, round table, ennobled, died So we get their heraldry there. A little bit of backstory for them. And then here we've got their character. So here are the traits. Right? See how it breaks down? Like forgiving, vengeful, 13, 7. Merciful, 13, cruel, 7. Glorious, 16, cowardly, 4. Then we got the passions here. 15, 15, 10, 5, 15, 10, 5. So that's giving you an idea of what passions drive Sir Clarion, who is a mercenary knight. These are the skills. So the skills are, like as an example, courtesy 11. That is less than, equal to, or less than 11 on a 20-sided die. Unless things have changed. I don't think they have. So Kevin's been poking around on Wikipedia, saying the earliest mentions of tournament jousting date from around the 13th century. Obviously, its roots may go back earlier than that. So there you have it. For a change, I was actually correct about something that I went out on a limb on. Sir Evrain, definitely like the artwork on these. Give me an idea of this character. Also a mercenary knight. Pretty honest, pretty generous, energetic. And then we have Dame Linnell. So as I mentioned, you have the female knights. Actually, pretty cool heraldry there too. So she's not knighted, she's a squire. Or at least she has squired. But she's considered a mercenary knight. Then we got Sir Avalok. I think we've got, I thought we had 8. We might have more than 8. So with combat skills, we've got battle, bow, brawling, charge, crossbow, hafted, two-handed hafted. So bust out those bill hooks, everybody. Horseman, spear, sword, and thrown weapon. And then our regular skills are awareness, chirurgery, compose, courtesy, dancing, falconry, fashion, first aid, flirting, folklore, gaming, hunting, intrigue, literacy, ornate, play instruments, recognize, religion, whatever, sing, and stewardship. So hit points, it's looking like he has 28, which actually seems high for someone who, for I should say, something that's built on basic role playing. That might be wrong. So we have Dame Tamura. Another one with some pretty cool heraldry there. Give you a peek here. Horses are very important in this game as well. So that's why you'll notice that she has a war horse and other horses. And she is a household knight. We've got Cadwallon. So it looks like they're more of a spearman. They are an esquire. So they have not been knighted. I guess there are 8. It looks like we've got 2 left. Dame Gwynhild or Gwynhild. Looks like she prefers the two-handed hafted weapons. 30 hit points. There we go. And finally, Sir Asterius. Anthony asks, is this out yet? I don't see it on their website. Yes, it is definitely on their website, but you may have to search around a little bit. Of course, I will have a link to the starter set in the, if you go to thegaminggang.com in probably about an hour or so, you'll see that I'll have a news piece that actually has the video has this first look in it. And I always have links. And I know there's a pre-order, but if you go to chaosium.com and you actually click on the Pendragon section, this is not there. So it just hasn't been updated. It's still showing things for the previous edition. So Agent Especial is with us. Good to see you. What about Sir Oblius? All right. So this is another household knight. And it appears that they are more of a swordsman. Although, strangely enough, he's holding a spear. All right, so there you go. So we've got our 8 pre-generated characters. We've got, I did not see a map, so I guess there's no map. That was just an assumption on my part that there would be a map of England. So we've got our pre-gens, we've got the encounter cards that have like enemy NPCs, as well as it looks like encounters like fight enemy commander, capture the banner, rescue captive knights, rally the division. So we also have our appendices. And then we've got our 5-year campaign, the sword campaign. So it's an introductory campaign for 6th edition Pendragon. Can't believe I was like, oh yeah, it's like for 5th edition. It's like, no. And then we've got our rule book. And then we've got the fairly detailed and lengthy solo quest registered trademark adventure for the Sword in the Stone. And then we got what's in the box, as well as our set of dice, which includes 6 6-sided dice, as well as a 20-sided die. And that is what we find when we take everything from the Pendragon 6th edition starter set outside the box. Once again, this will not be available until June 29th. Now, I'm not sure if that means if you pre-order it now, that you will get it on June 29th. That happens quite often with pre-orders, especially for role-playing games. But it will be in stores as well on June 29th. This carries an MSRP of $29.99. I gotta say, I'm impressed. I knew I would be. I mean, it's Chaosium. And it's Greg Stafford, the late, great Greg Stafford. So this comes as no shocker that it's like, wow, this is pretty impressive. All the goodness you're getting for a pretty small price. I will do my best. I should be able to. But I'm going to do my best to have a review of this prior to it coming out in a week. It's not that far off. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because that's going to be it for tonight. Next week on Tuesday's show, yeah, I remembered this time. Tuesday, not Monday. Tuesday. Although we are not playing Call of Cthulhu this Monday. A week from Monday, we will. Anyway, on Tuesday's show, I am going to share my review of Cyberpunk Red. from our Telsorian Games. So that'll be Tuesday. Wednesday, we're going to have a War Game Wednesday because if you were watching, you already know I got loads of goodies from GMT Games. We took a peek at Mr. President last night, which another game that was blowing my mind as we took a peek at it. I don't know about those of you out there who were watching last night, but wow, that is just packed. Looking pretty wild. So we're going to take a look at Sea of Thunder, which is naval warfare from 1939 to 1945. There we go. I'm taking a guess. It's the entire naval conflict of World War II. It says it's fast playing. It's got a complexity 4, which in reality probably means it's a 5, because say it all the time, GMT kind of low balls their complexities. Coco B says, trying to make up for confusing the Mouser and Fopper earlier. It's no big deal. Hey, at least you remembered part of the story. You remembered what was going on. And then a week from tonight, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at the Masters of Dune source book for Dune Adventures in the Imperium from Modiphius Entertainment. So, lots cooking. We have plenty of stuff to be taking a peek at and for me to try to get reviews out for in the next, probably month, maybe more. Got to remember, I am going to be in San Diego next month for San Diego Comic-Con. A couple weeks after that, I will be at Gen Con on both of those. But Sly Blue Demon says, when is Dune? That'll be a week from tonight. It'll be Thursday. So tune in then. Fleming Heron says, give the man a round of applause. I don't know why. Just like the video. I appreciate that. That helps. And if you have an opportunity, comment on the video, because that helps share the Gaming Gang videos with strangers, with people who are just, gamers, because it shows engagement. So giving a thumbs up, commenting on a video shows engagement. It's all part of the, the computations of YouTube, whether it shares video content with other people or not. All righty then. Don't forget, currently in the midst of the Gaming Gang 2023 Summer Game Sale, I have still about 140 games, or I guess I'll say tabletop gaming releases that are available. And be sure to stop by thegaminggang.com and check those out. All righty, that's it for tonight's show. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap. Thank you kindly, because not only do you keep me company, you're keeping each other company as I'm, looking through, doing the unboxings and stuff like that. So, because a lot of times when I'm doing that, I don't really have an opportunity to respond to too much that's going on in chat. So thank you for that. Of course, I know many of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. It really does mean a lot to me. Of course, once again, give a thumbs up to the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. I'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming Paizo preview for the month of June. So stay tuned for that. All right. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is. in your neck of the woods. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. And here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.